The American Nurses Association has officially recognized cannabis as a specialty area of practice. Now, we all love and respect nurses, well, except for New York when they fired 75,000 of them for not obeying, but that's a different story. This announcement has just put a little bit more respect on the nurse's name. A professional organization representing more than 5 million nurses in the U.S. has announced its formal recognition of cannabis as a nursing specialty practice area. The American Nurses Association, or ANA, said in a press release about the change that cannabis nurses play an important role in providing patients with education and guidance on incorporating marijuana into treatment. That is absolutely true. We've known in the past that the VA has not even been allowed to mention cannabis as a treatment. Why? That's a good question. The group bills itself as the sole reviewing body of specialty nursing scope and practice and standards of practice. The organization also gave a nod to a separate group, the American Cannabis Nurses Association, or ACNA. Not acne, although CBD has been known to help acne, but this is ACNA. ACNA advocates for research, education, and policy reform around medical marijuana. The ANA credited that group for, quote, pioneering the cannabis nursing field and contributing to the broader landscape of nursing practice and patient care. Amen. The president of ACNA said the group was deeply gratified by the groundbreaking establishment of cannabis nursing as an ANA recognized nursing specialty. This is great. More nurses going to be educated on cannabis and CBD and all of its medical benefits, which means that education is then going to trickle down into the general public a little bit more, so you don't have to watch channels like this one or talk to your friend who's been in the industry a little bit longer and knows things, and you listen, but you kind of don't really trust. Everyone trusts nurses and doctors, so now when they officially tell you things like this, you're going to be a little bit more inclined and a little bit less apprehensive in trying things that they suggest or recommend. Nurses are the largest group of health professionals providing an opportunity to change the healthcare paradigm and include diverse wellness modalities beyond traditional Western medicine. Cannabis nursing requires specialized knowledge and competencies to navigate care and address the stigma associated with medical cannabis use to support a healthy society. We seek to create lasting, transformative change that enriches both specialized and general nursing practices, ultimately serving the well-being of patients nationwide. In its announcement, the ANA also expressed its support for the urgency of clinical research to inform patients on the efficacy of marijuana and related cannabinoids. Absolutely true. Pointing to a 2021 position statement from the organization on the therapeutic use of cannabis. Among other things, it's also called for the relisting of marijuana as a federal Schedule II controlled substance for purpose of facilitating research. That's, sorry nurses, but that I don't agree with. Now again, you're just doing it from a medical aspect. You're not doing it from any other, but at least the NIH said Schedule III, and everybody wants it to actually go further. And you're actually saying Schedule II. We'll work on that. Developing evidence-based standards for dosing and use, protecting patients from civil or criminal penalties for marijuana use, and exempting care providers for criminal prosecution, civil liability, or professional sanctions for discussing or recommending marijuana. Now, when they say evidence-based standards for dosing, in California, edibles have a dosage, as of right now, as far as I believe, you're only allowed 10 milligrams of THC in each serving. Now you're allowed to have 10 servings per pack, which is 100 milligrams total per package, just THC. It can be more if it's in a big square, as long as they have it, on like the Hershey's chocolate bar, they have them divvied out and it looks like little individual pieces. It has to be like that. So anytime you buy something in a legal state, the majority of the time, the max THC you can get is 100 milligrams. And if you buy something that's like 250 or 500, that's either black market, somebody else made it, or you're not in a legal state. Broadly speaking, America's nurses have been generally supportive of legalizing marijuana. A survey back in 2018 polled over 1,000 nurses found that 82% endorsed legalizing medical marijuana, while 57% legalized it for adult use. So meaning over half, if not the overwhelming majority, supports legalizing medical marijuana. That 82% didn't say they support Schedule 2 recommendation. I would have to guess that that technical recommendation came from the top, maybe based on a suggestion by somebody else. Despite some expansion of cannabis research in recent years, significant obstacles remain. Earlier this month, multiple federal agencies participated in a wide-ranging discussion about marijuana, research barriers, efforts to create regulatory pathway for CBD, initiatives to promote social equity, and more. We've talked about that before, where there are multiple aspects to legalizing cannabis. Each one deserves their own attention and thorough process. One prominent theme was the significant challenges facing scientists who want to research marijuana under the Controlled Substances Act that are Schedule 1. You don't get any federal money to schedule or to study anything that is a Schedule 1. It has already been deemed not therapeutic, not medicinal, and highly addictive, so you can't even study it. So a lot of these states right now that are expanding or creating medical marijuana programs that didn't have one are probably seeing the writing on the wall that at some time in the near future, it's either going to be legalized, decriminalized, or rescheduled, and they don't want to miss out on those federal dollars, those federal grants for research and development in their own state for medical cannabis. A recent report in the journal PLOS One found that patients with chronic health conditions experience significant improvements in overall quality of life and reductions in fatigue during the first 3 months of medical marijuana use. And that's great. So you end on a good note. So usually all the good stuff is just at the end. So basically a recent report found that patients with chronic health conditions experience significant improvements with medical marijuana. You can keep trying to deny it. You can keep trying to hide it, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Hopefully it's in the near future. The sooner the better. Think about this for a minute. You legalize cannabis. All that cash gets pumped in the economy, and then you give it right back to the states in the form of medical research. How does that not make sense? How does that not make perfect sense for everyone to understand? Even if you don't agree with recreational cannabis use, at this point, I think the majority of people would say, I'd rather try a plant-based remedy rather than opioids at this point. Now, that may not have always been the case, but times are changing, and we need to adapt with the change, or we need to lead the change in the right direction if we don't see it going in the right one. So this is great. My hat's off and respect to the nurses. We appreciate you, and thank you for your recommendation. And hey, more good news. Appreciate you, nurses. Stay blessed.